Welcome to the Couple on Fire podcast. On today's episode, we're going to talk all about what does a healthy life look like, and that's coming up
right now.
Welcome. If you've never joined us before, our podcast usually lasts anywhere between 30 and 45 minutes long. So maybe you're on your commute right now. You've never listened to us before. So that's okay. You can pause it. And then on your commute home, you can finish listening to it. That's what we like to do. So we are considered a faith-based podcast, even though we don't always talk about faith things related. Did you lose something?
Yeah, my chapstick that's always sitting right here.
Oh, it must have fell off.
Must have moved it.
Man, squirrel is what happens on this podcast. So if you like squirrel moments, we have plenty of them. But we talk about everything that takes your faith, family, and future to the next level. If that's something that interests you, you can like, subscribe, and follow us, whatever platform that you are on. We do video podcasts, but we also post on Apple and anywhere else audio podcasts are found. So today's episode, we're actually going to be talking about what does an actual healthy life look like? Like, what does that actually should look like, right? We know what the world says. We know what some of us think. We know all these things, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. But before we dive into all of that, before we even get started on that, what do you have on your mind today? You saw I slow rolled it, so you had time. I gave you an extra 10 seconds to think about it.
So yesterday I broke my pinky toe. And if I had a fresh pedicure right now, which I don't until this coming Saturday, I would bring my foot up onto the screen because I am flexible enough to do that. But I'm embarrassed of my toenails right now because I'm overdue for a pedicure. But I broke my pinky toe yesterday. And it's not the first time that I've broken a toe, right? It's not the first time. Like all of us have stubbed toes and all these things. But this is the worst I have ever done it. My whole pinky toe looks like a grape. Like it's as big as a grape. It's dark purple. No, it's like if you've seen the movie Mr. Deeds and he has a black foot in that movie. That is what my pinky toe is like. And the bruise is starting to come down my foot. It is very bad. And the thing about it is it's on my bad foot. So my bad foot, that if you've been following our podcast, I had surgery in 2022 that went awry. And so I have a lot of nerve damage. I don't have good spatial awareness. So I'm always like hitting it or scraping it, but not to this extreme. And yesterday, it's pretty bad. So now I have a broke toe. And the whole reason why we want to do this podcast is because Josh and I think for myself, I won't really speak about myself. I've been on like a healthier kick for over a year, and slowly getting better and better and better. And this is slowing me down now, this broken toe. And this is irritating to me. I don't have time for a broken toe. Okay.
It's life though. And that's the unfortunate thing. I think that's the reason why we really wanted to do this podcast episode is really talk about what does a healthy life look like. I think we get ourselves in positions where, and as I would speak for probably most everybody, right? We go in ebbs and flows of things, right? We become really, really good at something for a while and then we fall off and then, we try to get back on that wagon and it's like really, really hard to get back on that wagon. And, what's one of the most important things that we need to not be on and off the wagon on, and it should be about our health, right? And I think that really comes down to all of the reasoning that's behind whatever health means to you. And so that's why we titled this, what does a healthy life look like, to you or, in general, what does a healthy life look like? So that's what we want to talk about today.
And I think that's the key point. Like, what does a healthy life look like for you?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it changes depending on what season we're in. I was going to talk about that when we get to this.
Okay. We will talk about it. But yeah, so, something we've been working really hard on for all of our time together, Christy and I together, is how we always beat ourselves up all the time when we do the wrong things when it comes to our health, whether it's exercise or eating or not being active in any general sense, right? And we would just constantly just beat ourselves up. So we're constantly working really hard at getting back on the wagon. And when we do, usually that wagon ride is really short, right? We don't last very long at all. And we've really learned something this time, and that's kind of what we want to share with you this time around. We've learned something different, this approach, and it's actually working. So that's kind of the premise of this whole show. So what does a healthy life look like? So our very first point is it's really important to understand that less is more, and that really means balance is really what it means.
Yeah, and for me, if there is there's habit stacking. I think it was in the Power of Habit book that it was. And so it talks about like if you already have a habit and you want to have a new habit, you stack it. You stack a new habit you're trying to do on top of around the same habit. I'm really sorry. Like,
Our dog, our French bulldog, she likes to we have a blanket underneath the table that we're sitting at, and she likes to fluff it. But the thing is she'd prefer to have the blanket that Christy has on her every single time we do our podcast. And so she claws at it until either Christy
it pulls off.
submits and gives it to her or
Yeah.
she gives up. And
Yeah.
so
So
that's
I'm
what's going on
holding
right now.
it. And we put another blanket under there. There's two under there right now. And then mine on my lap. And she pulls mine off me. And I'm trying to hold it because she's still doing it.
I know. I wish I could put the camera under the desk just so everybody could see.
Ugh.
It's hilarious, actually.
So, because I'm cold all the time. Okay. Like,
She gave up and she's barely even laying on one of the blankets now. She's so mad about
I
it.
know. Like, stop.
She's like, just
pulling
give me the blanket.
my blanket, dog.
All right,
Okay.
back on task here.
Sorry.
Less is more.
So for me, what has worked really, really well for this one is I would say a year or even over a year ago, I started not consistently, but saying, okay, for 2 to 3 days a week, I'm going to get up and I'm going to walk on the truck, do my elliptical. I started out doing my elliptical for 30 minutes in the morning, but it wasn't every single day. It was, 2 to 3 days a week, and try to start eating cleaner is what I'm going to try to start doing. Like I went dairy free, gluten free because I have a lot of girly health problems and things like that, trying to get better at it. And what has happened is over time, that habit muscle has gotten stronger and stronger and stronger. And then over the last, I would say, I would say it's been about 14 months. I would say over the last 6 months since January, so 7 months, I upped it. And then over the last like 2 months, I had upped it a little bit more. And then over the last month, we've upped it even more. And I think that's what's important, is that less is more. If you start out doing something, just being upright, and we do iFit, and one of the trainers on there, not John Peel, what's the other one?
Oh,
Tommy Ribs.
Yeah, Tommy Ribs, the distance runner.
Yeah, so he got cancer and he was a marathon runner, and I would do a lot of his trainings because it was for beginners on the elliptical. And something that he said every time is, it's just about being vertical. It's just about being vertical, getting up, doing something. Like, don't push yourself too hard. This is something I've learned about having cancer. And it was hard for him because he couldn't run anymore. He had to start walking, walk
He was
slow,
an ultra marathoner.
Yeah, I mean, ridiculously fit.
Yeah.
And that meant a lot to me because a lot of times we want to be like, oh, I got to start working out. I got to be healthy. I got to work out every single day. And that's not true. Less is more. If you figure out things that work for you, a few things here and there to add into your life to be healthier, if it's cutting back on a few calories. My doctor told me monitor a whole week the amount of calories you eat, and then take that, don't change anything, eat exactly how you'd eat, and then subtract 300 calories from that, and then start like that. And that was just powerful to me because we always have been an all or nothing.
That's what I was going to say. I think society is all or nothing.
Yeah.
Like, we want instant results, right?
Yeah.
We don't get to the position we are if we're feeling like garbage the older we get. I mean, and at the time of this, we're on right now, this podcast, it's the end of July, and September 5th is my birthday. So I'm going to be 49 years old. And so I'm like, I'm not getting any younger. Like, I got to really start caring about these things. But as much as I want to care about them, I don't want to do the work, right? Until you start to see the results and you start feeling better. And now all of a sudden it's like, I don't mind doing it. Well, of course, right? That's how everybody is. But how do we get to the point to where we don't go back to there again? And I think that's where less is more is so important.
Balance, yeah.
And balance, right? And Christy and I have talked about that. Am I being super stringent on the things that I eat? I'm not. Like, I want to eat pizza, I'll eat pizza. I want to eat whatever, I'll eat whatever. I'm not cutting out any type of food at all. But what we are doing is we're doing things in moderation. We're like, look, I normally would like 6 to 8 pieces of pizza, right? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to eat 2 pieces of pizza. And if I'm still hungry, I'm going to make a can of green beans. I like green beans. And it makes a huge difference. And when we started working down this road of doing these things, we're like, okay, what else can we habit stack on this? Let's start walking, right? And so now we've kind of upped ourselves a little bit and we're like, not only do we put in 30 minutes of some form of exercise a day, we don't even say what that's supposed to be. We're like, just as long as it's 30 minutes of something, right? Verticalness,
Mhm.
something, right? And then we've added on to that now, okay, if we have time, we'll go for a walk at night after dinner. And so we're adding these small little things. We're not going all in and saying if I can't do all this stuff, then I'm not doing it at all.
Well, and
Because that
that's
doesn't work.
no, and that's why I think this has been super different for Josh and I. So one thing that we did realize is every time that we've gotten on a health kick, we've really done well. We've always wanted to be healthier, but when we've really started something, it's usually there was always a purpose, like
A
a
goal.
date.
Yeah.
So our wedding, for instance, was one of them when we got married. And then it was vacation. So every time after that, it's been a vacation, a cruise or some type of vacation that we're going on, or a wedding that we have to be in,
Mm.
or something like that. So we've always had a reason, like a goal to be like, okay, this is going to get us on track. But then after that's over, those new things went away. And this really was a mindset shift to say, I'm not holding myself to this standard. I'm going to balance it. And what can I fit in right now that I'm going to stick to? And that's 1 to 2 days a week. I mean, a while ago is when I had started
Mhm.
doing the elliptical. I'm going to make sure I get up 1 to 2 days a week and then do the elliptical. It started out very, very small. And that's been great since then.
It's great. So I just want to keep talking a little bit about this point because I think this is such an important thing. So Christy started. So we years ago, a couple years back, we're like, okay, we had a gym membership. We had it for 14 months. We never even went into that gym one time.
Once.
Not even one time. Actually, the only time I went into it was to cancel the membership. Okay, I'm being honest, right? And so we're like, okay, we keep fooling ourselves and thinking we're going to do this. So what do? We're like, okay, well, let's cancel the membership, and then we're going to buy ourselves a couple pieces of exercise equipment to be in the house, so there's no excuses.
Mhm.
And we got to be better, but inconsistent. And Christy's like, I need an elliptical machine because, because of my joints and my knees and my hips and my back, and all these issues. And so I'm like, well, I like running or jogging, which I could not at the time, trust me. But I'm like, at least I could do is walk. So we got a treadmill and an elliptical. And at
We
first,
got
Christy
both.
did, yep. And Christy did the elliptical off and on, and then became very consistent. And then the more consistent she got, I'm like, maybe we could do the crim. You can walk in the crim, all these things. And she's like, well, maybe I'll get on the treadmill every once in a while too. And she did, right? She didn't tell herself, okay, I'm moving from the elliptical to the treadmill. You didn't do that. You did, I'm going to do it one time during the week. And now she doesn't even get on the elliptical at all anymore. Now it's only treadmill
Mhm.
at like incline 10, like no joke, right? And so I think less is more. We have to quit telling ourselves like we have to do everything. We don't have
Yeah.
to. We
Mm-mm.
don't have to. Okay. All right. So
Hi, Jen.
hi, Jen. Thank you. You're so sweet. She's like, you're looking great.
Well, it's summertime too, so we've been able to be outside a lot.
Yeah, we
So
feel great actually,
yeah, we get
which
some
is
color.
which is nice. All right, so number 2, we beat number 1 to death. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype.
Don't believe the hype. So this is huge for me because you see a lot of people that like to document their progress, which that's key. I mean, there's been a lot of studies showing that if you have accountability, that's why, Weight Watchers, people go and they
Mhm.
weigh in and all of this stuff. And it's good for that, but a lot of what it does to other people is when you see somebody posting all this crap on Facebook, like 75 hard. I just made a big post about 75 hard. There's a lot of people that's taken on some momentum that are doing it, and it's awesome. Don't take that away from them at all. But just because you're not doing something like 75 hard doesn't mean that you shouldn't be proud of the progress that you're doing. And for us, we're starting to feel better and better and better and better. And now we're more hyped up about what we've done. And that's why we wanted to do a podcast that to tell people do what works for you.
Mhm.
I mean, this has been like a year and a half in the making where I was doing the elliptical, every couple days. And now I'm doing the treadmill every single day. Now I'm doing weight training twice a week, and we also walk another 30 minutes outside. We've upped our water game. We recently in the last 3 weeks stopped drinking any form of diet soda. We've completely switched to sparkling water.
Mhm.
Like we're trying to do more and more things to help us get healthier,
Healthier.
but don't put it around like this new fad hype thing. Like, everybody's saying, oh, go to carnivore diet or
Mm,
gluten free or anything like that. You need to make
keto.
sure you're getting your nutrients that your body needs, do research on it, and do things that are working for you. Like my cholesterol was extremely high and I have like girl issues going on with hormones and all these things. So I did research specifically for me, like what supplements do I need to take? What should I stop eating? Exercise is key, at least 3 times a week, things like that. So I think it's extremely important. I did a post on Facebook the other day, like, be proud just because you're not doing a fad or this new fandangled thing 100% correctly. Even if you're doing a portion of it, you should be encouraged to post that and talk about that and the difference that it's made in your life, and not think that you shouldn't be proud of it or can't be proud of it because other people are doing more than you. That's not true.
Yeah, I think pride really gets on our way with these things. Like we want to be able to be part of this clan, right? This crew. We want to be labeled as someone that finished 75 hard. We want to be someone that lost 50 pounds on keto, right? And kept it off. Like we want to be those things. But the ultimate thing is all we really care about is the end result, right? And so if we focus on like what's the end result, and if that's just losing weight, I can promise you this, if it's a vanity measure like this, things will it's all going to come back like and probably 2 times fold, and it has for us, right? And unhealthy. And so when we took on this journey, we said, look, we're going to stop doing things like that. We're going to stop getting consumed in like all these idealistic things that represent like health, which they don't. They represent fast results on things. And so once we decided to do that, we stopped looking at the scale per se. Different
Mhm.
now, right? Now I want to see like different types of results because we feel like we have other things going on. But once we started building up and saying, you know what, these are just things we want to do to have better heart health. We talk about the scale that we have that measures like our visceral fat,
Mhm.
things like that. Like these things matter to us. And when we started focusing more on that, it became so much easier and more comfortable transitioning um, into this lifestyle instead of saying, we're just riding the hype wagon.
No, and can definitely tell that it's been a mindset change this time for both of us. Like we've really changed our mindset that we want to be healthy because Josh injured his knee for a little bit, and so he shouldn't have been running anymore because it was just hurting more and more and more. So he stopped and would just walk, and if he was walking, it wouldn't bother him as much. But that was hard for him at that time because he had moved up to running, progressed up to running for at least a portion of his time, and he couldn't do that anymore. But that's what this is important about, is to listen to your body. Like, don't think that, oh, now I've lost it all. Like it's an all or nothing mentality because I got hurt or my back's hurting me. Like make adjustments to what you need to do to listen to your body and go on from there. It is truly a mindset shift. And I guess, this isn't the first time that I've heard that, but it's something this time for me literally has clicked for. It's not about weight, it's not about those things. It is truly about being healthier and
Yeah.
how we feel, and a clean lifestyle and an active lifestyle. And no matter what that looks like for your life, whether it's 2 days a week, 1 day a week, do something. And so many of us won't do it because we could only do it 1 to 2 days a week.
Yeah.
And don't let that be that way for you. Some people have injuries that they have to work through, and maybe they only could do it 1 or 2 days a week. That's good. Start doing something.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. So that's number two. Number three, if we move on to number three, is consistency is the secret. It actually is the secret to this whole
It
thing.
is.
It really honestly is.
Well, and we didn't have a goal this time for a
Yeah.
destination of why we wanted to. We truly wanted to do it because we truly wanted to change our life, not because we were getting married or going on vacation. It's
Yeah.
truly because of that.
We want to
And
feel better.
and I do feel like the older you get, the more you realize like we're on the downward side of the hill now,
Like it or don't.
And when you're in your 20s, you don't worry so much about the things you're putting in your body and things like that. But you really start because you go get blood work and stuff done when you get older. And it's like you have high cholesterol, you have, all these things. And so for me,
Yeah.
consistency, I can't talk about this enough because starting out I didn't even change what I was eating at first. I started out a couple days a week on the elliptical, and we're talking 14 months, okay? So we do something for 2 weeks and we look in the mirror and we're like, "Oh my gosh, I've been doing this forever." So like 14 months, we're talking about slow progression and consistency for myself.
Yeah, you did 10 minutes in the beginning, remember? 10 minutes on the elliptical in the morning.
No, I don't remember, but that
Yes, I do remember.
yeah, okay, so that makes sense. So, and then
Yeah,
it turned into I'm gonna be dairy free and gluten free, and then that went on for weeks, and then it turned into 30 minutes, and that went on for months.
yep.
Then it just was a few months ago that I switched to the treadmill, and now it is treadmill, because my heart health has gotten so much better. I have to work so much harder than I'm used to get my heart rate up to where I need it to be. But my visceral fat around my heart was so bad, and it's so better now. And I have to be on an incline at 10. I just recently in the last week moved up to a 3.5
Speed.
speed. I had to be at 3 before. I could barely even go at 3, and, so now I'm at 3.5, and now it's like we're taking the diet pop out, and now we're drinking a lot more water, these suckers. We're drinking 2 of these suckers a day,
Boom!
which is a gallon of water, but it's not goals like, "Oh, we gotta drink a gallon of water." It's
Mm-mm.
just over time, slowly building and habit stacking and doing more and more. It's like, where else can we be cleaner? Where else can we be healthier? And it's awesome. I feel so great. I just feel healthier.
Yeah, and it's hard to explain, right? I remember years and years and years ago, I got on this kick after I first sobered up. I started doing like P90X, if you know anything about that, if you're old enough to know what that is, the at home thing. And I hammered it, exactly the opposite of what we're talking about here. I just got on there, just lose this weight and all this other
Yeah.
stuff. And I remember posting on Facebook that no food tastes as good as skinny feels. And there's so much value in the concept of that, right? And that's true, and it's not even about skinny. Let's be honest, right? The scale, your BMI is like the worst. I don't know who came up with BMI, right? It's like the worst measurement on the planet because it doesn't actually calculate true value of you, right? And so they always say, like, how does your clothes fit? How do you feel though? How do you
Yeah.
feel? How is your mind more clear? Are you more joyful in your heart in the way that you want to approach things? Do you feel, "Ugh, like I have to do this?" Or do you feeling different? And because of consistency over time, not giving up and saying, hey, we're going to do a little at a time, but we're going to be consistent in the time of doing all these things. Eventually, those feelings of feeling good about this stuff came. And now it's like, yes, we're stacking things on top because we want to add more value to us. We need more challenging things. Like Christy said, we have to have our heart rate going up because we understand the value that brings. So where we look at our watches when we're walking, and she's like, "Ugh, we've been walking super hard and my heart rate's at like 115." I'm like, what? I remember like a year ago, we'd be walking, it'd be like 165. I'm like, you're gonna have a heart attack. And we're not
That's
even
so
walking
bad.
that fast, right? And so it's like, yeah, but now we have to work harder because our heart is getting to be just so much healthier, and we love the ideas of that. But without the consistency, we would see none of that. We wouldn't feel any of that. And so, whether consistency is 1 day a week for now, or 3 days a week, or 5 days a week, or if it's just moving for now and not worrying about diet, that's what we did. We just started with something and became more consistent. And over time, we started
Yeah.
adapting everything that
Well,
we
and
want.
I even went to visit my doctor when I had first started a year and a half ago with all these changes I gradually was putting into my life, and then I have Hashimoto's, and I have insulin resistance and PCOS, and I'm in perimenopause and all these things. We had to change up thyroid medication, and I did have to work with my doctor on some of it too to be like, okay, what is going on with my body? There was something going on too. So that's another reason why I wanted to start supplementing and also eating better, because you have to take these medications to regulate your body, and then you're trying to take supplements to give your body the things that it's missing. There's a fine balance to it. So especially if you are, I don't know about it as much about men problems, but women problems, if you are going into menopause, or if you have get your thyroid checked, and it's not just thyroid, it's the antibodies like Graves or Hashimoto's, and see if you have PCOS and things like that, because that can cause your body to not lose weight no matter what you do. your body won't lose it. It's very frustrating. And people will be like, "Oh, well, people on Survivor lose weight." Yeah, they do because they're starving themselves. I'm not saying that
and
if
working
I
hard.
not I'm not saying that if I stopped eating altogether, but if you talk to anybody that's on a show like that, like Alone or anything, it affects your teeth and it affects all that's not good. It's depriving your body of the nutrients it needs for your hair and eyes and teeth and all the things.
Yeah.
So if you are if you're doing things and being active, go talk and you're not seeing the results or feeling fitter or like if you have a scale, she never barks either. If you have a scale, like we have a scale, a Renpho, it's called
pH.
RENPHO,
Yeah.
that tells you like your body water percentage and your visceral fat and your BMI and things like that. If you're not seeing those things get healthier, I would also talk to your primary care physician
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well.
Talk to your doctor because we want to make sure you do things that are healthy for you
Yeah.
too. Like we may not even know what's good
If
for
you have
us.
diabetes,
Right.
you know.
The older we get, though, the more I feel like we go to the doctor. And the last time I went to the doctor, the nurse, they weigh you every time in there. And I wanted to go this time. Right. I'm like, yeah. And I get inside the room and she didn't even say anything at first. And she looks at it and she's like, whoa, you lost some weight. And I'm like, yeah, I did. And I'm thinking to myself, what, you can't tell because of the size of my head's different. But it's funny, so it's we have to get to the doctor to make sure, hey, hey doc, this is the things that are going on with me. Are these things you're working on? Of course, we all want to say yes, right? Oh yeah, I'm working really hard at that. But in all reality, we haven't been. And so once we started adapting these things, we start seeing the actual changes. But it's consistency. All right. And our last point is goals matter, but not like you think.
Right.
Right?
I just sent this to Josh earlier today. It says working to be skinny is discouraging, but working to be healthy is empowering. And that has never resonated with me more than it has right now because when I first started this mindset change about a year and a half ago, I told him, I'm like, I want to start this journey because I want to be healthier. I stopped weighing myself. Like I didn't weigh myself. I can't tell you.
Probably a year.
No, at least I
Yeah.
stopped weighing myself in general before I even started working out because I would beat myself up about it,
Right.
even before I started trying to get healthy. So it had probably been 2 to 3 years. I would not weigh myself anymore. And because I got so caught up in what the scale said. And I told him, I'm like, I want to start making changes. And I purely want it to be just about my health. I just want to be healthier. So it was so freeing to me, and I really do believe that's what helped change my mindset so much about it, is because I couldn't make it about the scale because I wouldn't allow myself to weigh myself. If I ever went to the doctor and sometimes, stupid nurses would, and I said the swear word stupid, yes. You go to the doctor and then they say your weight out loud, and you have your eyes closed. Like they can't see that I don't have my eyes closed, right?
Slap them in the head.
So I knew ahead of time, like when I went in there, I'm like, please don't say my weight out loud. I don't weigh myself anymore because, I want to free myself of that bondage of that. And it was super freeing, super, super freeing to me.
Yeah, and I think it's important that we understand, like, when we start, like, getting into the numbers, we start doing it. I'm not saying the numbers don't matter, but when we talk about a healthy life, we have to talk about mental health. We have to talk about emotional health too. And if we're in a position to where we're so tied up to the number, then that's not a healthy time to look at it, right? Now we've become better. Now that we're in a better,
I was gonna
healthier
say that.
place, now we can start weighing ourselves every once in a while to make sure that, the progress is becoming like the scale that we have, like Christy said, isn't just showing us pounds. It shows us a lot of other things.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, Christy and I sit and we talk about these other numbers other than the pounds.
I don't even look at the
We
pounds,
don't even
really.
talk about the pounds. We talk about all the other things because it's about being healthy. It's not about chasing a goal of a number. And it's the same thing, like we said earlier, when we wrap everything into vanity, right? We think to ourselves, like, I'm going to be 49 years old. I think, well, I looked so much better in my 20s. Well, yeah, of course you did. You were in your 20s, right? You're a very different person in your 20s than you are in your 40s. And so if we keep trying to chase something, we're really going to miss how to achieve that true result of even looking better, because looking better is actually a result of all the other healthy things that we do. It's a result of making the right choices, being consistent, being, emotionally and mentally healthy around being healthy. And then the result comes from that. you happen to look better too. I don't even care anymore what if anybody notices that I lost weight or all this stuff. I don't care. I feel good and I feel comfortable finally. And I think that is that should be the real goal.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah.
And like Josh was saying, I just started weighing myself probably a couple months ago, 2, 3 months ago, after years of not weighing myself. But some of the stats that are, and this is the reason why, some of the stats that our scale does for us is our BMI, our body fat percentage, our fat-free body weight, our subcutaneous fat,
Mm-hmm.
our visceral fat, our body water percentage, our skeletal muscle, our muscle mass, our bone mass, our protein percentage,
Yeah.
our base metabolic, is that what that
Mm-hmm.
stands for?
Yep. Base metabolic rate.
Base metabolic rate, and then our metabolic age. So it gives us all of that. And I want to focus as a whole on where my body is health wise from
Yep.
all of those things.
Yeah. So we talk about, what does a healthy life look like? We have to get outside of our heads and stop trying to get into the comparison game, right? And stop with that and say, hey, what are the small things I can start doing now that's going to make a difference or can maybe lead to something? We all know there's really two major things that we need to change, right? We need more exercise. We all do. And we need to eat better. And however that relationship with food is,
Right.
needs to change, right? Eat better doesn't necessarily mean you need to start just going straight to being a vegetarian eating salads. No. We don't
We've
don't do
tried that.
Yeah, we have tried it. And that doesn't mean that, right? I need to cut out all my carbs, start eating bread, like forget all that stuff.
Tried it.
Right. What is your relationship with food? I know our relationship with food is very unhealthy. And so now that we're starting to eat in a way that is healthy, we don't feel like we're missing out on stuff. If we feel like eating some type of ice cream, we're going to eat it. We're just going to do it, right? We'll eat a much
the
smaller
cravings go away.
portion. But the cravings go
Yeah.
away, right? We become much more healthy about the choices that we make. And in doing that, actually end up having a healthy life and a healthy lifestyle. The way that we think, the way that we process things, the way that we feel about things, the way that exercise, what it means to us. We always say, I remember you read something a while ago that said that we should treat food as fuel. I can understand that now. Before, I'm like, I hate the sound of that. I love food. I love the taste of food. I like food. Well, I still like food, but I don't have to engorge myself anymore. And I actually appreciate it way more
Yeah.
now that we don't do that. So,
I want to say, let
Stella.
Yeah, Stella, say hi.
Okay. She's licking her paw.
Yeah. Come on. You're getting groomed tomorrow. Come here.
Yep. She's going to the groomer tomorrow. So,
There.
let her say hi.
There.
Here she is. Here's the brat.
Say hi.
She always sniffs super loud into the microphone.
Oh, yes, a sweet girl.
She's like, okay, let me down.
Yes.
All right, everybody. We want to thank you guys so much for being here. Hey, let us know in the comments whenever you're watching this, let us know what is it the things that made a difference for you to start leading a healthier lifestyle. Tell us, share it with us so other people that read the comments can see them tips and ideas and concepts to let everybody know this isn't a cookie cutter thing. It doesn't work.
It is not. No.
You don't need to run marathons. You don't need to do triathlons. You don't have to do an Ironman. You don't have to do all that. You don't have to be a CrossFitter. You don't have to do all those things to live a healthy lifestyle, right? So make sure that you share down below exactly what it is that's worked for you, and maybe you'll inspire somebody else. Okay, we're here every single week, right? Every single week, Tuesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you next time.
Bye.